he'll be a game time decision.
Didn't have a good night yesterday.
Game time decision.
Rick, just
You're not going to get anything here that you didn't already know. You know that.
Rick, just to clarify further your decision swapping Kyle and Mark on the flanks for a first power play unit, how does Nino's work in the bumper? Perhaps, how did that lead to giving you those options?
Well, it's not so much Nino and the bumpers. It is we're trying to generate more shots. We're just clearly not getting enough shots on our power play, so it's a way of getting these guys to come up higher and have a little more time to shoot the puck. But our biggest goal, regardless who's in the bumper position, we need more shots. And putting those guys coming downhill, they're our pure goal scorers. They're going to be able to get hopefully more pucks on net.
Have you been finding that opposing teams' penalty killers have been taking away Kyle's one-timer or the cross-seam out? That's been
well, they have.
Motivation.
If you watch them, you know, it's like when you're playing Ovechkin. You know he's going to shoot the puck. Stammer in Tampa, so that D is always rushing out at him and getting in the lane. So this is a way of getting him. You got to change it up every once in a while and give it a different look. The league is very well coached. It's very well pre-scouted. It's like our penalty killer. We know what the opposition wants to do. Scotty does a great job breaking it down. So they know where he is, and we're just trying to move him around a little bit and see if we can generate more shots. Excuse me.
Rick, in terms of the pre-scouting and being prepared for an opponent, I mean, Minnesota in the last 10 games have allowed 10 goals in regulation. Is that a combination of superb goaltending, good luck, and great team execution, or is it more than one of those three?
No, it's all of those three. If you watched the game last night, like Calgary had a lot of great opportunities to score. It didn't go in because the goaltender was making the saves, great saves. Both goalies were unreal last night watching that game, because you look at the 0-0 score and then you watch the game and you say, wow, there's a lot of great A's at both ends. So you give the goaltenders credit. They decided the outcome of that game, and it goes to a shootout. And it wasn't, you look at the score and you say, that must have been a boring check game. It wasn't. There was great chance right off the bat. Zook walked in on a clear, almost a breakaway, the second shift into the game. So the chances were there. Their goaltending was great. That being said, Minnesota is very good at keeping to the outside. Their D are very good at boxing you out, and you've got a battle to get to their net front. They're big guys, and they box you out really well. So it's one thing to get in the zone, it's another thing to get to the net. And so tonight we're gonna have to keep our D involved, and they're gonna have to be ready to shoot the puck, and they can't wait for someone to get to the net because the shooting lane will be gone. So it's going to be up to our forwards to battle through that and get to the net when it goes to the point.
Yeah, the most recent comparable to that would probably be those back-to-back games against the Islanders. So are those the two elements that we're missing against the Islanders?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I say the most recent comparable to what you just described might be those two games against the Islanders.
Yep.
So was that what was lacking against the Islanders? The defenseman getting involved and also not enough shots? And again, you're playing the bigger teams, and they're good at boxing out. But against the Islanders in there, we had some really good chances, and we just didn't score. So, but when you get chances, you got to hope you bury them. You do, and it's a lot easier said than done. But when chances are there tonight, the way to get them to change their game is to get the lead, and then they've got to open it up a little bit more. They get an early lead, they're just going to sit back and they're going to clam it up in front of their net, and it's going to be harder for us. So the start and getting that early lead is going to be very important for us.
Rick, just going back to the whole Nate Schmidt thing and sitting, just curious how you saw him handle that, and I mean, I'm curious if he's a guy that you could trust with kind of sitting, knowing that he was still going to put on, I don't know if the brave face is the right thing, but he was still going to be positive and kind of that. Because I think if you sit some other guys maybe on your team, it might not be the same kind of response, I suppose.
Well, he's a pro. He's got to how to respond. I think what you're saying there is that sometimes they don't handle it well when it comes right out of the blue, and they're completely shocked and they're not ready for it. That's not the case with Nate. We had a couple of previous conversations, and this came up that there's a possibility that you will sit out if the game doesn't stay at a consistent basis. So it wasn't a shock to him. Now, if it's a shock to him, okay, that's on the coaching staff. If we're not talking to him and explaining things, this is what we need you to do, this is where you are. But we stay a step ahead of that. So we talk to the players. If there's going to be a conversation about him coming to the lineup, he's got to know that conversation is going on. So that's what we do. We communicate with him, and it was a couple of conversations. It wasn't out of the blue. You get out of the blue, you're shocked, you might be a little disappointed. But when you've been given a heads up, okay, I got to get going here, and then another heads up, I got to get going here, then it's not a shock. But he's a pro, and he's a good teammate, and he handled it like we expected him to do. Regardless how he handled it, we're going to make the best decisions we can for the hockey team, whether they like it or they don't like it. So the best, and some of them are tough decisions, but they're decisions that we have to make. That what's the best thing for the hockey club tonight? Then this is the decision we make, and this is the decision we live with.
Aside from that, I mean, just given his nature as a upbeat, positive guy, do you appreciate how the sort of knife edge that he has to walk in there? Because, like, you know, if he has a bad day, and I was just talking to him, everybody notices that, and he can be, you know, if he's having a bad day, it can really, he feels at times it can bring the team down and that sort of thing. Do you appreciate guys who can that have that sort of role in the dressing room?
Yeah, well, we want all the players to look forward to coming to the rink.
Sure,
right?
but not
They're all
everybody
different.
does,
Not
right?
everybody
Or
does.
Not everybody shows that.
No, and not everyone's a morning person, right? So, right. But Nate is, and he's a fun guy to be around. And when they're, regardless, you know, there's a lot of those guys. When they're having an off day, it's more noticeable than a quiet guy. Like you watch Vladdy come into our room. Yes, Vladdy never talks. He's very quiet, but he's always upbeat. He's always in a good mood, but he doesn't talk. So he's just a quiet. So different personalities. Nate's a talker, right? So you hear him before you see him. So, right? That's a good thing.
Rick, speaking of a guy who apparently shows up every day with a smile on his face, Kyle Capobianco might be the most patient guy in that locker room. And I'm wondering what you've learned about him this season, whether it be on the ice or off the ice.
No, he's a true pro. He is. And we heard a lot of good things about his character before we signed him. So you give him a ton of credit because it's not easy doing what he's doing. He's sitting out all this time, but you give him credit because he works hard every day. He's in the gym every day. He does extra work to get ready to play when his name is called. He's ready to go, and that's a tough role to be asked to be played. But every day in this league, no matter what you do, is a blessing. So he understands that. So this is a great league. This is a great life. And yeah, I'd rather be playing, but I'm not. But it's still a pretty good life I have.
He's still been able, like you say, he's almost been able to make the most of when he's been in. He's only 25 years old as well, so there's a lot of runway for him. I'm just, I'm wondering if you would have had a conversation with him leading into this season that, you might be fighting your way in every day, so he understood kind of.
He understood that from camp where he was. Yep. Good. Thanks.